In 1974, a Philadelphia Flyers player allegedly made a deal that would curse the franchise for decades. The Zamboni driver saw something on the ice that night that the NHL spent millions trying to cover up. 3 NHL players have mysteriously disappeared, and the league refuses to acknowledge they ever existed. Every sport has its secrets, but the NHL has something darker. Stories that officials deny, that players won't discuss, that disappear from record books overnight. Tonight, we're going into the archives they thought were destroyed, into the testimonies they tried to silence, into the truth about what really happens when the lights go out and the crowds go home. These are the NHL urban legends they don't want you to know about, and some of them might actually be true. Starting with number 42, the Montreal Forum Ghost. Players from the original 6 era whispered about seeing a figure in the stands during late-night practices. The ghost always sat in Section 12, Row H, Seat 3. That exact seat belonged to a fan who died during a 1968 playoff game. His heart gave out when the Canadiens scored in overtime. Security footage from the 1990s shows that the seat's cushion depressing by itself during empty arena tours. When they demolished the Forum in 1996, workers found a hidden room behind Section 12. Inside were ticket stubs from every home game between 1968 and 1996, arranged in perfect chronological order. Nobody knows who put them there. Number 41 takes us to Winnipeg in 1979, where the Jets held a team seance. The players were desperate to break a 15-game losing streak. Team captain Lars-Erik Sjöberg convinced management to bring in a local medium. What happened next depends on who you ask. 6 players claim they saw the table levitate. The goalie says the room temperature dropped 20 degrees in seconds. The next night, Winnipeg won 9-2. But here's where it gets strange. Every player who participated in that seance suffered a career-ending injury within 2 years. The NHL banned all supernatural activities in team facilities after this incident, though they've never officially acknowledged why. The cursed Detroit Octopus rounds out our supernatural trilogy at number 40. Everyone knows about the Octopus tradition in Detroit. In 1952, a fishmonger threw an 8-legged octopus onto the ice, 1 tentacle for each win needed for the cup back then. But there's a darker story. In 1964, a rival fan threw an octopus that had been dead for weeks. It was rotting, diseased. The moment it hit the ice, every Red Wing on the roster got violently ill. They lost their next 7 games. Since then, Detroit employs a secret octopus inspector who examines every cephalopod before games. His identity is protected like a state secret. Moving to number 39, the 1972 Summit Series fix. Official records say Canada barely beat the Soviets in that legendary series. But recently declassified documents suggest something else entirely. A former referee speaking anonymously claims both governments agreed to let Canada win Game 8 by exactly 1 goal. The Cold War was at its peak, and neither side could afford the political fallout of a blowout. Watch the footage of that final game. Count how many obvious penalties go uncalled. Notice how Soviet players seem to slow down in the final minutes. The most damning evidence. Paul Henderson, who scored the winning goal, received a diplomatic passport the following year, something unheard of for athletes at the time. Number 38 brings us to the missing Stanley Cup of 1970. Not the one you see in photos, that's a replica. The real cup disappeared for 6 hours after Boston's victory. Bobby Orr himself admitted in a 2010 interview that he has no memory of those 6 hours. Neither does any other player who touched the cup that night. When it reappeared, there was a new engraving on the bottom, in a language no expert has been able to identify. The NHL had a metallurgist examine it. His report was immediately classified. He quit his job the next day and moved to South America. The expansion team that never was, number 37. In 1974, the NHL was set to announce a team in Milwaukee. Jerseys were printed. A logo was designed, a purple walleye fish. Season tickets went on sale. Then, 48 hours before the announcement, everything stopped. The league returned all the money. They destroyed the jerseys. Every executive involved signed a 50-year NDA that doesn't expire until next year. One document leaked in 1991. It mentioned something about mineral rights under the proposed arena site. The land is now a parking lot that's been for sale for 30 years. Nobody will buy it. Number 36, the player who never existed. Check the 1983 NHL draft records. Round 12, pick 236. Mike Lahore, center, from Medicine Hat. No Mike Lahore ever played for Medicine Hat. No birth certificate exists for anyone by that name in Alberta. But here's the thing, he's in the official NHL records. He supposedly played 2 preseason games for the North Stars. There are even box scores with his name. Teammates from that era get uncomfortable when asked about him. One finally broke his silence in 2019, saying only, "Some things are better left in the past." The referee betting scandal of 1983, number 35. The NHL says referee Jim McCauley retired due to knee problems. But court documents from his divorce show he deposited exactly $25,000 every month for 6 months before his retirement. Always on the 15th, always in cash. McCauley refereed 47 games that season. In 23 of them, the underdog won by exactly the spread. The FBI opened an investigation that was suddenly dropped after pressure from unknown sources. McCauley now lives in the Cayman Islands. He's never given an interview. Number 34 takes us to the lost expansion documents. In 1967, the NHL expanded from 6 to 12 teams, but internal memos reference 13 new applications. The 13th city has been blacked out in every document. A former league employee claims it was Houston. Others say Kansas City. But why hide it? In 2008, a filing cabinet from the old NHL offices was sold at auction. Hidden in a false bottom, someone found evaluation reports for a team called the Houston Howlers. Every page was stamped, denied for non-sporting reasons. The arena that wouldn't stay standing brings us to number 33. Between 1923 and 1931, 3 different groups tried to build an arena in Hamilton, Ontario. Each time, construction accidents forced them to stop. A total of 13 workers died. The local newspaper reported strange sounds at night, equipment moving on its own. The third attempt made it furthest. The walls were up, the roof was on. Then, the night before the grand opening, it burned down. The fire investigator found no cause. His report just says, "Act of God?" That land is still empty. The city legally can't build there until 2031, exactly 100 years after the last fire. Jersey number 99 wasn't retired league-wide just to honor Wayne Gretzky. Number 32 on our countdown reveals the unspoken rule that existed before. 3 players wore 99 before Gretzky: Wilf Paymont, Rick Dudley, and Leo Bourgault. All 3 suffered identical injuries, a separated shoulder in their 99th game. When Gretzky first wore it in 1979, teammates begged him to change. He refused. But look at his career. He played exactly 1,487 games. That's 99 squared plus 88. Players around the league believe he made a deal to break the curse. What kind of deal? Nobody will say. The Phoenix Coyotes' financial black hole, number 31. The NHL claims they lost $300 million keeping the Coyotes afloat. But forensic accountants studying public records found something odd. Money was moving in circles. The league would loan the team $50 million. The team would pay $45 million to a consulting firm. That firm was owned by a shell company in Delaware. That shell company's only other client? The NHL. Over 7 years, nearly $1 billion moved through this system. Where did it end up? The paper trail goes cold in the Bahamas. Number 30 brings us back to the original 6 monopoly agreement. In 1942, the 6 remaining NHL teams signed a secret pact. No expansion for 25 years, split all revenue equally. But there was a third clause that's never been revealed. A lawyer who saw the document in 1989 described it as unconscionable. He said it involved territorial rights that extend beyond hockey. Notice how certain businesses dominated those 6 cities for decades? Notice how they all seemed to collapse right around 1967? The year expansion finally happened. The Alan Eagleson scandal goes deeper than stealing pension money. At number 29, we uncover what really happened. Eagleson didn't just skim from players. He was selling information, medical records, contract details, personal problems. But to whom? Follow the money. It leads to a betting syndicate in Montreal. They knew exactly when players would get injured. They knew who was playing hurt. The FBI estimates they made $400 million over 20 years. Eagleson only kept $10 million. He was just the middleman. The real bosses were never caught. Now for number 28, Bill Barilko's disappearance. Everyone knows he vanished on a fishing trip after scoring the 1951 Cup-winning goal. They found his plane in 1962, the year Toronto next won the Cup. But here's what they don't tell you. Barilko's plane was found 400 miles from where he was supposed to be fishing. The flight plan he filed shows a completely different route. His fishing buddy, Henry Hudson, was a geologist. They weren't carrying fishing gear when they crashed. They had mining equipment, core samples, maps of northern Ontario with specific areas circled. Those maps were confiscated by the government. The land they were surveying? It's now the richest nickel deposit in Canada. Number 27, the Winnipeg White Out wasn't about intimidating opponents with white clothing. The original organizer admitted before he died that he got the idea from a classified military document his brother showed him. The document described how specific light wavelengths combined with crowd movement could trigger vertigo in test subjects. Watch footage of visiting teams during those playoff games. Count how many players stumble for no reason, how many shots go inexplicably wide. The effect only works in enclosed arenas with specific lighting. When Winnipeg moved to Phoenix, they tried to recreate it. It didn't work. The arena geometry was wrong. The Florida Panthers rat trick of 1996, number 26. Scott Mellenby killed a rat in the locker room, scored 2 goals, and spawned a tradition. But arena workers tell a different story. The rats appeared suddenly that year, thousands of them. Exterminators found no nests, no entry points. They just appeared. A biology professor at University of Miami tested some of the dead rats. They weren't local species. They were Norwegian rats, but with genetic markers he'd never seen. The infestation stopped the day after the Panthers lost the finals. It never came back. Number 25 reveals the real Vegas flu. Players don't just party too hard on the Strip. The Golden Knights pumped specific oxygen mixtures into the visiting locker room. A former arena employee leaked the documents. Reduced oxygen by just 3%. Not enough to be dangerous, just enough to affect performance. The league tested for it once. The results were sealed. But notice how visiting teams started bringing their own portable oxygen systems in 2019. They say it's for altitude adjustment. Vegas sits at just 2,000 feet. That's nothing compared to Denver. The Gordie Howe hat trick curse sits at number 24. A goal, an assist, and a fight in the same game. But there's a pattern nobody talks about. Players who record exactly 9 Gordie Howe hat tricks in their career suffer catastrophic injuries in their next game. It's happened 11 times. The most recent was in 2018. The player requested his name be kept out of reports. He retired immediately after, citing personal reasons. His teammates say he was terrified. He'd counted his Gordie Howes. He was at 8. Number 23, the lost Wayne Gretzky records. The NHL admits they lost a box of statistics from Gretzky's junior career. But a CBC intern found references to those missing games in old newspapers. Gretzky supposedly scored 378 points in a 64-game season. That's 5.9 points per game. At 16 years old, the league says those numbers must be wrong. But what if they're not? What if someone made them disappear because they would make his NHL numbers look ordinary by comparison? Patrick Roy's conversation with his goalposts, number 22. Everyone laughs about how he talked to them. But Roy's former teammates say he heard them talk back. Not metaphorically. He claimed they told him where shots would go. In Game 7 of the 1993 Finals, a hot mic picked up Roy saying, "Okay, I heard you," before Torrey Krug's shot went exactly where Roy was already moving. The audio was never replayed. ESPN says they lost it. The Marc Messier guarantee prophecy brings us to number 21. In 1994, Messier guaranteed a win in Game 6 against New Jersey. But a Madison Square Garden security guard claims Messier said something else first. In the tunnel before the game, Messier allegedly said, "I already played this game in my head. We win 4-2. I score 3. That was the exact outcome." The guard told this story once, in 2001. He was fired the next day for unrelated reasons. Number 20 reveals why they really burned the mortgage at Madison Square Garden in 1940. The Rangers didn't just burn papers. Witnesses say there were other documents in that fire, contracts with names nobody recognized. The smoke was the wrong color for burning paper, more like copper or brass. A firefighter on scene said it smelled like sulfur. The Rangers didn't win another cup for 54 years, exactly 54 years. That's 3 times 18, 3 sixes. Now for the truly uncomfortable truths. Number 19. The President's Trophy curse isn't random. An MIT statistics professor ran the numbers. The probability of the best regular season team failing this often is less than 0.003%. That's not variance, that's design. She found something else. The losing team's point differential in elimination games is almost always identical to their regular season goal, differential divided by pi. She published her findings in 2019. The journal retracted the article without explanation. Bobby Orr's flying goal photo was staged. Number 18. The famous image shows him horizontal, arms raised, having just scored. But film from other angles shows something different. Orr scored, celebrated normally, then went back and jumped for photographers. The staged photo became history. The real celebration was edited out of existence. Every network has the original footage. None will air it. They say it would diminish the moment. But what else have they edited? Number 17. The Chris Pronger trades. Every team that traded Chris Pronger missed the playoffs the next year. Every team that acquired him made the finals within 3 years, 7 times. The probability is astronomical. Pronger himself acknowledged it in 2016. He said he wasn't surprised anymore. When asked to elaborate, he changed the subject. His son plays in the OHL now. Scouts say he has the same effect on teams. The Martin Brodeur trapezoid rule, number 16. The NHL says they created the trapezoid to increase scoring. But internal memos reference a different reason. Brodeur was getting too good at something else. Playing the puck, yes, but also directing it. Teammates say he could bank passes off the boards that defied physics. The puck would accelerate after hitting the glass. The league tested his sticks, his pads, the pucks. They found nothing. The trapezoid was their only solution. Number 15 exposes the salary cap circumvention that everyone knows about but nobody stops. Long-term contracts that extend past age 40. Players retiring early. Cap relief. It's not a loophole, it's a feature. The formula for the cap was designed by an economist who also worked for 3 NHL teams. He built in the workarounds. The league knows. They've known since 2005. It's theater. The real cap is about 20% higher than announced. The outdoor game weather control, number 14. The NHL has never had an outdoor game postponed for weather. Not rain, not snow, not extreme cold. That's not luck. A former league executive revealed they use military-grade weather modification. Cloud seeding, ionospheric heating. The contracts are classified, but flight records show specific planes circling above outdoor venues exactly 6 hours before face-off. The same planes used for hurricane research. Number 13. Why Seattle's expansion draft was different. Vegas got favorable rules and shocked everyone. Seattle got similar rules and finished last. The difference wasn't talent evaluation. Seattle's management found something in their arena site research. Indigenous burial ground is the official story, but construction workers report finding something else. Metal objects, perfectly spherical, predating known settlements by thousands of years. The objects were removed by federal agents. Seattle's struggles began immediately after. The concussion protocol conspiracy, number 12. The NHL's baseline testing has a flaw. Players deliberately fail their preseason tests, score low on purpose. Then when they get hit, they can pass the concussion protocol by scoring at their fake baseline. Everyone knows. Trainers know, doctors know, the league knows. But the testing continues. Why? Because the real data isn't about concussions. They're building a database of brain patterns. For what purpose? Those files are locked tighter than financial records. Number 11 reveals the Olympic participation deal. The NHL didn't stop Olympic participation over insurance costs. Leaked emails from 2017 show the real reason. The IOC refused to share biometric data collected from NHL players. Heart rates, muscle tension, reaction times, all monitored continuously during games. The Olympics wanted exclusive access. The NHL demanded shared custody. Neither would budge. The athletes were told it was about money. The Seattle Kraken's computerized draft, number 10. Everyone mocked their expansion draft choices. Ron Francis was called foolish for passing on proven players. But Francis wasn't making the decisions. An AI system was. The same system Amazon uses for predictive shipping. It wasn't selecting for current talent, it was selecting for something else. Injury probability, contract efficiency, off-ice factors. The model predicts Seattle wins the Cup by 2027. Number 9. The real reason for offside reviews. The NHL says it's about getting calls right. But the review system serves another purpose. It creates natural TV timeouts, specific lengths, always between 90 and 180 seconds, perfect for commercial breaks. The number of offside challenges correlates exactly with ratings. Lower ratings, more reviews. The linesmen are instructed to let close calls go in high-rated games. The Tampa Bay luxury tax engineering, number 8. Everyone knows they circumvented the cap by putting Kucherov on LTIR, but that was just the visible part. Tampa's ownership includes 3 former Goldman Sachs executives. They created a derivative financial instrument based on cap space. They were trading it like a commodity. Other teams were buying and selling future cap flexibility through shell companies. The league shut it down in 2022. Quietly, no announcements. Number 7 exposes the draft lottery mechanics. The lottery isn't random. The machine they use has a known flaw. If you know the air pressure and temperature, you can predict which balls will rise. The league controls both variables. They don't fix specific outcomes, but they can influence probability. Make certain combinations 5% more likely. Over time, it adds up. An engineer who worked on the machine was fired for discussing this. He now lives in Switzerland. The Coyotes' relocation plans at number 6. The NHL says they're committed to Arizona, but they've been secretly scouting Houston for years. Not just the market, specific sites. There's already a team name trademarked through a shell company, Houston Aeros. Jersey designs exist. Marketing plans are written. The move was supposed to happen in 2024. Something delayed it. Arena negotiations is the public story. But city council members mention other concerns. Environmental reports that don't make sense. Number 5 reveals the CTE study suppression. The NHL commissioned a comprehensive study in 2011. 500 former players, brain scans, cognitive tests, genetic markers. The results were so damning they destroyed the data. Except one researcher kept copies. He's been trying to publish for 10 years. Journals rejected. Publishers back out. His house was burglarized twice. Only his office was touched. The study found something beyond CTE, changes that shouldn't be possible from just head trauma. The McDavid draft engineering. Number 4. Edmonton didn't win the Connor McDavid lottery by chance. The NHL needed him in a Canadian market. For television contracts, for relevance, the lottery that year used a new system, digital instead of physical balls. The coding was done by a contractor who disappeared after the draft. His company dissolved. His LinkedIn vanished. The digital system was immediately replaced with the old physical balls. Number 3, the Brad Marchand suspension pattern. Count the games. It's always a specific number. 2, 3, 5, 8. Never 4, 6, or 7. Those are Fibonacci numbers. The Department of Player Safety denies this. But an employee leaked the suspension rubric. It includes a mathematical formula. Variables include market size, playoff positioning, and television ratings. The Fibonacci pattern is hard-coded. They claim it's about escalation. It's about maximizing viewership for return games. The Bettman succession plan. Number 2. Gary Bettman has been commissioner since 1993. He's 72. There's no public succession plan. But insurance documents filed in Delaware reference a detailed contingency. The next commissioner has already been chosen. They've been shadowing Bettman for 3 years. Their identity is protected by nested NDAs. Even team owners don't know. The transition will happen overnight. Bettman will retire for health reasons. The new commissioner will be presented as a surprise. It's already scripted. And number 1, the player the NHL pretends never existed. In 1974, the Buffalo Sabres used their 183rd pick on a center named Taro Tsujimoto from the Tokyo Katanas of the Japanese Ice Hockey League. The name was read aloud, officially recorded, even added to media guides. But there was no such team, no such league, no such player. Sabres GM Punch Imlach later admitted he made it up out of frustration with the draft process. The NHL called it a joke. Case closed. Or was it? Fans brought "We Want Taro" signs. A locker was reportedly assigned to him. Staff swear they saw someone using it. In 1987, a man in a Sabres uniform sat on the bench. His nameplate said T. Tsujimoto, but he's not in the team photo. In 2003, a rookie card surfaced, graded, authenticated, then mysteriously revoked. Some insiders claim Taro was real, and the NHL erased him. These are the stories they don't want you to know. Some are coincidences wrapped in mythology. Others are truths hidden in plain sight. But ask yourself, in a league that tracks every statistic, that films every angle, that documents every transaction, how do so many questions remain unanswered? What aren't they telling us? And more importantly, why? The next time you watch a game, remember what you've learned. Look for the patterns. Question the narratives. Because in the NHL, the greatest mystery isn't what happens on the ice. It's what happens everywhere else.